Alright, so in today's video, I got the Platinum Trophy on Grand Theft Auto 3, which is also a part of the Trilogy Definitive Edition that got released a few years ago, and yes, I did already make a video on this game, but I shamelessly gave up on it because Grand Theft Auto 3 is, and I'm not kidding when I say this, my least favorite game that I've ever played in my entire life. Everything about it, from the story, the gameplay, the AI, the graphics, and the trophies, is horrid. And I can't think of any worse way to spend 40 plus hours of my life than on this godforsaken and abandoned game. Anyways, this is also part of a challenge where I'm trying to platinum every single Rockstar game there is before the channel hits 900,000 subscribers. And if I can't do this, then the punishment is I have to platinum Fortnite, one of the hardest platinums to ever exist. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. But yes, as you all know, it has been a minute since I played a Rockstar game for the Rockstar Challenge, but that's just because I got bored of them, and also I did remove all of the games in the challenge that don't have a platinum because they are just not even worth playing and barely function on the PS5 to begin with. But today, GTA 3 has only got 29 trophies, including the platinum. It took me over 40 hours because I did restart completely. There's numerous stages, numerous missables, and I hate my life. But starting off today, I already had 8 trophies from previously. In stage 1, however, is to do everything inside of Portland, which is the first location the game takes place in. However, even after finishing the first mission of the game, you are actually not supposed to continue the story at all, because it's suggested to go do all the vehicle trophies and challenges as early as possible on each island. And this is due to the fact that after completing story missions within each island of Grand Theft Auto 3, the gangs within them become very hostile, and especially on Portland, the Mafia will literally two-shot you and your car every single time they get a whiff of that virgin body odor. And in addition to that, in my last video on this game, I also had scuffed up the order of missions in the story, and I both missed some in general, but I also did miss some trophies inside of the main story missions themselves. So that playthrough a year ago was just cooked from the start. And the first real objective or thing I chased down was to first put out the 20 fires I needed to, because you have to put out 20 fires on each island for 100% completion. And this is by far the easiest of any of the challenges in the game because there really isn't any rush or threat, and you're just putting out fires. I also already did have the trophy attributed to it from a year ago, so that made it even less stressful. And I actually just did 20 in one run because it was so damn simple and easy to do. But then after that, I began the arguable and considered worst vehicle challenge of the game, the Ambulances Level 12 challenge. And immediately after starting it, I would just crash and burn, quite literally. Which brings me to my absolute biggest pet peeve and hate about this game that I just cannot stand whatsoever. The vehicle driving mechanics of Grand Theft Auto 3 might be the absolute worst I've ever seen a game have. Not a single car in this game actually feels like you're driving the car. They feel completely fake. None of them have any traction whatsoever. It's almost as if every single road in this game is just made of pure ice. And if you even clip a single person, your car's either gonna blow the f up like Nagasaki or spin out, flip over, and then blow up like Hiroshima. I can't even tell you the amount of times I had a car I was driving in this game just be going along all smooth like, and then all of a sudden lose complete control, crash, kill me, and reset my entire mission or put me back hours at a time. And this is pretty much the reason as to why my time played on this game is so high, by the way. Simply because of the vehicles. And you'd think a game called Grand Theft Auto, which by definition is a crime relating to the theft of vehicles, would have spent a little bit more fucking time tweaking the absolute bullshit that is driving them. I wish I could come up with more things to say about the driving mechanics in this game because I feel as if you guys don't get the point yet. 40 hours. 40 fucking hours of driving into nothing. Crashing, burning. What the fuck is this shit? Oh my god! I need to breathe, okay? I need to breathe. I gotta calm down. I'm gonna crash the fuck out, and I'm not even playing it anymore. Oh my goodness gracious. That's what I'm saying. Okay, I just looked at the footage again, and I was about to move on, but I just remembered another thing. The NPCs in this game are, and I'm not lying here, coded to drive into you when you pass them. Literally, the NPCs in this game have it coded them to occasionally just drive into you and f you up. They don't respect traffic rules either, which is the biggest crime. I hate GTA 3. Anyways, back to the trophies. Sorry, I need anger management. But the ambulance missions require you to just get to level 12 with it in general, not on every island also, so that is a nice help. But getting to level 12 adds one more person to save every level you level up, if that makes sense. So it does progressively get harder as you go. And what makes this so challenging is that you have to both not crash often to save the health of your ambulance, but you also need to avoid the police because if they start chasing you, it gets even worse. And on top of both of those factors, once you get up to higher levels, if you aren't being effective, you will just simply run out of time. I think it's after level 8 when dropping off more than 2 groups stops giving you extended time in each level's run, so you only receive time boosts from picking up the patients. But I eventually did do this, as you can see. It took me about 2 hours and it sucked. However, upon reaching level 12, I did already have the trophy from a while back, but I did just celebrate by staring at my screen and crying tears of joy, relief, and anguish. But after that, I didn't do anything else, really sighed for the moment. It's suggested to go do the vigilante missions and a lot of other things, but those really aren't that hard after the story, I would come to find. And some of them are actually much easier post-story due to certain vehicles becoming available. So I just began the story again for GTA 3. And by the way, the GTA 3 story, or the entire trilogy for the most part, are complete throwaways in my opinion. I literally do not give a what happens. I hate these games. So I'm only going to be talking about the trophies. The first new one I got was actually completely random, however, and just from me staying under 10 HP for a minute. And I got down to 1 HP during a mission, but then I survived somehow, and I just didn't heal myself for a minute. So the trophy then popped called Liberty City Minute. But then I did begin a main story mission called the Fuzzball, which has a trophy on it requiring you to use a coach to pick up all 8 prostitutes in the mission. A coach is this massive bus type vehicle, but only accessible in a corner of the map on Portland's island. And I thought you had time to go grab a vehicle and then start picking up girls, so I already started this off wrong, and I was honestly mad as because I thought I missed it again. However, once I managed to steal a fast gang car and drive over to the coach fast, I grabbed it and I still managed to pick up all the 8 women and drive them back to the objective with a few seconds remaining. And then the trophy popped, thankfully. The next trophy I got was then another missable story trophy from delivering Mike Lip's car without a scratch on the mission called Mike Lip's Last Lunch. And this mission has you first steal his car, then go mod it to put a bomb inside of it, and then you have to drive it back without getting a single dent, scratch, or scuff on the car. You do this because you're supposed to make it look indistinguishable to him, so he is truly fooled and just hops in, gets blown up, and then the trophy pops. The next trophy I got was then again from the main story, and it was called Planned Ahead, which is something your parents forgot to, and it's the reason why you're here right now. An absolute mistake. But it's attained on the mission called Farewell Chunky Lee Chong, who is apparently Bobby Lee's father. And the trophy has you take out Chunky Lee Chong with a car rigged with a bomb. But in the mission, when you approach him in the middle of this kind of market, he makes a dash to one of the 2 cars available. So to set this up, you have to steal one of them, drive it to 8 Ball's bombs, get the bomb in it, and then drive it back and repark it where you got it. And to make him drive that car, you then have to approach him from the opposing angle, so he is forced to. And with that all done, he then gets in the car, and I watched ominously as he just gets blown up for the trophy, and then it popped. You could say I'm a bad friend. But after that, I did go back to doing some side activities because I got a tad bit paranoid about me missing them and having troubles with the gang activity after finishing Portland's story, seeing as I was already more than half done with it now. But the only trophy I got during these activities was from performing a perfect insane stunt on a stunt jump, so here is that. And that was it, so the next trophy I did get was again from a missable story trophy. On the mission called Triads and Tribulations, you have to keep the 2 mafia members alive during it that join you in a car as we drive around the city, taking out rival gang members in very specific locations, with the surrounding areas being in complete chaos. It's also a little hint at what the free roam of this game looks like, by the way. But this is actually an insanely easy trophy to do if you just park far away from the gang members you need to take out, and then shoot them with a long-range gun so they basically cannot hit you or the mafia members we are joining with. Once taking out the final group, the trophy then pops easily. And that was, I believe, the final missable trophy inside of story missions. So I moved on to the next island, that being Staunton Island. And I had already made it here in my last playthrough, so that trophy for finishing Portland didn't pop again. But on this island, you do have to pay much more attention to the order of missions because it's the last real island full of main story missions. And you can void some of them by not doing them in the correct order. The guide is also a tad bit confusing, but if you just do them in order as they are presented, it does work perfectly. The first trophy I got here, however, was just from reaching a criminal rating of over 2,500, which I'm not sure how this really works, but I assume the more bad things you do, like killing people or not being subscribed to the channel, helps raise it. So once I did reach that rating, it popped, I guess. And for some more info on how I went about this platinum, I did actually stop doing side activities before finishing the story like was suggested on this island, because the only real challenging one post-story is Portland, due to the mafia being there with the shotguns they have. The other 2 islands are both relatively simple to be honest, and the gangs do get more active still, but they aren't anywhere near as harmful. So the next trophy I would get was from completing the last payphone mission on Staunton Island, and this is also the final one in the game as well. But it ends up finishing off with us in this back alley type parking lot between a bunch of buildings, and a ton of these enemies with bombs strapped to them come out of vans endlessly at you, with us having to eliminate them the second they step out to blow up the van in addition, and to stop the spawns from occurring. It's not really too hard, but you do have to be careful and be a ways away or else you're going to get blown up with them. And the following trophy I would get was then not from the story as a matter of fact, but rather from acquiring over $1 million in the game, which at first sounded like a ton of money, but you get given them naturally from both the story, collectibles, and vehicle missions, so it actually might be the easiest in the game, and here it is. The next trophy I got was then called Offshore Delivery, and this one was a natural story trophy, and I think it's the first of the day. But it's the final mission that's really exclusive to Staunton Island, and it actually unlocks the final island called Shoreside Vale after completing it. But the mission you get it on is called A Drop in the Ocean, and in turn it had us drive this boat and collect drops from a plane containing Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina-scented candles, a very rare find. And after giving them over to the elementary school hideout, the trophy then popped and we unlocked the final few missions of the game and area. And the next trophy I would get was actually from just beating the game story completely. The very last mission of this game is also the hardest, which I guess is cool. You know, that's kind of expected to be honest. But it had us charging into this giant enemy zone to save some Spanish girl named Maria who makes the best tacos on earth. And we were saving her because of the taco chain the boys want to start so we can leave this life of horrendous horrendous crime. But again, due to this game's combat being complete balls, making it to her was pretty ass. However, you can take your time because even though there is a time limit, it's very lenient to us. And the method I found to do this was to climb these side towers and then shoot any available enemies below to then continue on without the fear of death. And I managed to do it here, but then I shot Maria because I thought she was an enemy. I'm gonna kill myself. Oh my god! So yes, I did have to go do that all over again, which I did. But once you do make it to her, you do still have to shoot down this helicopter, and I did it with barely any time left, but it was first try, might I add. The game then concluded, some credits rolled, I skipped them because I don't give a f***, and the trophy then popped after. So now it's time to do stage 3, which is just 100% completion of the game. There's quite a few activities we have to do for this as well, so we aren't really that close, especially considering I didn't do anything side since leaving Portland. But the first thing I did chase down was all of the 100 hidden packages around the game. And thanks to this amazing video guide I followed, I was able to get them all done in about an hour and a half. So huge shout out to Broski for that. But here's that trophy upon the 100th one's collection. I then completed all the RC Toys missions next. And there actually isn't that many of them. You also do not need to get any sort of high score. Simply playing them all is a trophy, and it also goes towards 100% completion. I then managed to use all the weapons in the game at random while doing rampages, which are yet again needed for 100% completion, and here's that trophy pop. But then I did begin to do the most annoying trophy in the game in my personal opinion, going rogue. Kill 15 criminals in a row during one vigilante mission. For starters, I think this is impossible without the tank, and if you manage to do it without the tank, you're just insane. But before I get ahead of myself, the vigilante missions are the police variant of vehicle mission, and they have you chasing down fellow criminals on the run and murdering them. You get a time limit and it functions the same as the other vehicle ones do, but what makes this one in particular so hard is because the NPC criminal drives so goddamn fast. They are on the damn run and make you know it. Also, in the act of killing them, it does raise our own threat and wanted level, so the cops begin to chase us as well. And that's why using the tank is the best and really only method to get 15 done, because it ensures you almost cannot die to cops that chase after you. However, this makes it easy, but it is still a challenge because the tank is slower than fucking Lizzo is to get to a damn treadmill. And it really blows and makes rage flow into the brain when you just watch the criminals speed away as we chug slowly after. It took me numerous hours to do this, and it was not fun at all. I raged, almost crashed out, but then I got it finally, and here's the trophy pop. Now, seeing as I was already doing vigilante missions, I did also have to do them on other islands to get the 20 done with on each of them for the trophy, requiring that and 100% completion. I also did completely lose track of how much I did do, so I kind of went on a cycle of doing like 6 of them and then going to a different island and doing 6 more, just because I was uncertain of what islands had 20 already finished. But eventually the trophy popped at random, so that's cool, and I hate this game.
Hey, you already said that, you fucking retard.
I then went and got all of the remaining trophies I need before going after 100% completion. And this consisted of doing all of the 20 stunt jumps right here, which I actually didn't find hard at all. And then from using 20 police bribes, which can be done easily in your hideout and with rocket launchers. I then ran around with a bat and I got 25 kills on gang members with melee weapons for another trophy. And finally, my last trophy is from reaching 100% completion in the game. The last 2 major things I needed to do for this was to finish the import and export list of the game. This just has you drive certain vehicles to the garages at the various ports in the game, and it's actually not super difficult. I did struggle to find like 1 or 2 vehicles, but overall it's not that bad in honesty. However, after that, my final objective to go from 99% to 100% was to do 100 taxi fares. And I hadn't done this yet because I was unsure if it was needed for 100% completion. It is a trophy, by the way, but I didn't think you had to do it again for 100%, seeing as I already did that a while back in my other playthrough. But it does turn out that yes, it is needed for 100% completion. So I just drove a taxi around for 2 more hours this morning, and I wanted to cry after. That is some of the most boring shit in gaming history. Taxi driver simulator. Kill me. But here's the platinum after all, and I still hate this game with everything in my soul. I'm not kidding. So that was the Grand Theft Auto 3 Platinum Trophy experience. Overall, this game does suck, and I know I am negative most of the time about games because platinuming games every day really does kind of kill the fun most of the time. But this one was especially horrendous, bro. I wouldn't wish this game's platinum on my worst enemy. Actually, I would. F my worst enemy. But yeah, that's it. Please subscribe.